Padmanabha Maharaj, you are originally born in Hungary.
Indeed.
And yet you have travelled around the world to many areas, especially in India. Can you tell me a little bit about what you've understood with regards to your nationality and the different tribes or peoples you may have come in touch with in your travels?
Well, the reason I came to this philosophy and culture and way of life and traveling, because of search of truth. And come in contact with the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna gives a full-fledged philosophy of human nature and about God and how to attain Him, because he gives a full description and also practical and theoretical example how to attain Him. Naturally, the man who come with this concept, with this philosophy, find himself in India, because the whole philosophy is coming from India. So, naturally myself, I went to India, and I always attracted myself to India ever since I was born in childhood, reading about India, Indian philosophy and culture. And finally, when I came to Krishna consciousness, I found myself in India. So, living there, I inquired about the language itself. I started to learn about Bengali and Hindi. And as I was studying, I discovered certain phrases or words which was very similar to my own Hungarian language. And also I know history, from history, that a certain stage of human existence, Hungarians lived in India. And ruling India, northern India, prominently. And due to this discovery, I was questioning if I able to meet with some other Hungarians, maybe they living there. And to my surprise, I met somebody who told me that the Rajasthani people, the king himself, declared that they are the descendants of the Huns. So this inspired me at some stage, and I went for a pilgrimage and roaming around a northern area of India called Uttar Pradesh, and find myself in Bihar and the border of Bihar, and met personally those descendants of Hungarians. One tribe called by name Mund and Kol. The Munds were white color, white skin, and trading with agriculture and business, and some of them are Brahmanical. The one I met was a Brahmana, which means initiated in the priesthood. They have Brahman thread, knowing the Vedas, studying the scriptures. And the other race was I found, which is also according to the Indian government, they also Hungarians, descendants of Hungarians. They were the Kol. They're completely black, almost like Negroes, and similar like the Tatars. And with one interpreter, I made some questions, addressed questions to them, because they were not speaking anymore the original Hungarian language, adapted Hindu language, which is natural. But the Hungarians, the peasants of the Hungarians in India, goes back the time of Parasurama, one of the incarnation of Vishnu, who appeared long before Lord Rama, Ramachandra. Anybody who knows Indian philosophy can relate to. It's about roughly 2 million years ago. It's quite a long in history, isn't it? Because like if we go to the Bible and accept Judaism, the theory, the teachings of the Jews, their figure is about 6,000 years. The creation goes back to 6,000, which is very limited. If we accept the Vedic teachings, which goes much further. So the Hungarians were living approximately 2 million years ago, at the time of Parasurama, and when some conflict arises arose between the Brahmins and the Kshatriyas, the warriors, and the priestly class. Parasurama started to persecute the Kshatriyas, the warriors, because his father was killed by Kshatriyas, warriors, and he cut them down 21 times. Because he took a vow when his father was killed, so he took a vow accordingly, and he exterminated the Kshatriya race. And at the time, the Hunzas, who are Germans by race, and the Huns escaped from India and settled in the European area, and that's why also become across with this expression Indo-German, because original Germans were coming from India. That's why Hitler himself called himself Aryan, and which has come from Arya. Hitler called himself, Arya, and that the words come from Arya, which is pure race, the race who have faith in God, believe in God, following the commandments of God. So that's Arya. So anybody could, in a sense, could become an Aryan or an Arya. Of course, Hitler had some chauvinistic, nationalistic ideas as well, tried to implement, and it became a designation.
A genetic.
So trying to exterminate other races, which is quite wrong, because God created man out of his own image.
Yes.
So nobody has the right to kill anyone except God. So any nations try to claim that they have the right to use the power of the name of God to punish or exterminate people because of differences in view in religion or other views is quite wrong. It has to come from God directly, and the representative we had in Vedic time was the king, who were saintly in character. So the king only interfered to punish his dependents, his subjects, when they were doing some activity which was nothing had to do with religion, irreligion, or dharma, we call it. So then the God, because the king is a representative of God, he had the right to punish those miscreants, so the individuals who were doing some crime.
Maharaj, thank you. You made reference before to a gentleman who had experience with a race in Tasmania.
Yes, many years ago when I came to Australia in 1980, I met one gentleman in Sydney, and he was telling me about a race which been exterminated by the British soldiers when they came to Australia and occupied Tasmania. And those individuals were European stock, but because they were warriors, fighters, they had some. Naturally, they had some problem with the
invaders.
The invaders, yes, and eventually they've been exterminated. But this person, how he discovered, because he's a linguistic, tried to. He was searching for the origin of the Aborigines, and he discovered in their language European expressions. And as we know, all languages is coming from Sanskrit, isn't it?
Yes.
So being a linguist, try to discover where the origin of language comes from, and then you find out that prior to the Aboriginals present in Tasmania, there were some other race, as I said before, exterminated. So he wrote one letter to one of his friends in England, and he sent back one book, which was published in the 1900th century, explained those and described in painting and some drawing of the original occupants of the land, and they were very much, I saw the picture, similar to European people. But unfortunately, there is no trace anymore of them because all of them been killed.
So you also made mention about the
Gypsies.
the Gypsies and the Egyptians?
Yes.
There was some...
Yes, like as a Hungarian, many people think that the Hungarians come from the Gypsies, because we have this Gypsy music, and everybody thinks that is something has to do with the Hungarians, but actually it's not, because the Gypsies come from India, from Bengal, and their language are very similar to the Bengali language. And as I said, one time Rabindranath Tagore came to Hungary, visited, and very easily he was able to communicate with those Gypsies who lived in Hungary. So, as I said in conclusion, in Vedic time, because now we're living in Kali Yuga, there were one civilization, that was a Vedic civilization. Of course, many races. Even as I said, 2 million years ago, there were Hungarians and Germans, they are present. And 5,000 years ago, the Chinese, China was part of the Vedic civilization because, as we know, the 5 Pandavas, they had a Chinese priest. In Mahabharata, it reveals that.
Who was that priest?
Domya, his name was, and was a Chinese by origin.
Oh.
So they observed Vedic culture, Vedic civilization. And if you go up to Cambodia, Laos and that area,
yes.
Malaysia. In Malaysia, before the Muslims came, settled there were Hindus living there.
Yes.
So, but because they accepted, the king accepted, had some trade with the Muslims,
yes.
And actually they became influential. The Muslim became influential, and the Malaysian accepted the religion because it was suitable for them for trade, and also economically. God is one, so it was more favorable for them to trade with somebody who helped them economically. Many times now in those days, the people are combine religion also with economy.
Maharaj, could you tell us a little bit about the phonetics or the similarities between the Hungarian alphabet and the Devanagari or Sanskrit alphabet?
Well, there are many similarities. Like in Sanskrit, you have the short a, o, pronounce it, and a, o, a, and or e, short e and long e. So many words are pronunciation very similar to the Sanskrit. Of course, as the Sanskrit is different in writing as in pronunciation, but as the phonetics.
But that's only a symbol.
The symbol. But the sound is important as it's pronounced. So our language, very deep, very descriptive. The Hungarian language and also the Sanskrit. And the Hungarian language is very straightforward, very direct. You cannot twist it around. It immediately comes to express itself. A very deep and very direct expression, very meaningful as well. Same as in Sanskrit. Also, Sanskrit, one word could have many meanings simultaneously. Because of the presence of the Hungarians who lived in India, naturally they adapted a certain aspect of alphabets in their own language and further developed.
Is there any other sounds in particular?
Well, I really never really investigated myself how many words similar.
The sounds more.
The sound. Yes, it's similar when we pronounce like a shloka I described, Sarvadharma Parityagi Mami comes to number. You can express it in the Hungarian language. Maybe sounds the same. And as I was living, I found words which was very similar. Like I said to you, kucha means dog in Hungarian, but also in Hindi it means, they pronounce it kuta. Kuta and kucha almost the same. Or a room, they say Kamra, and we also say Kamra. And some other words as well are there because of the similarity of the language. Because every language is coming from Sanskrit, so naturally must be some similarity. Like in English, path is also in Sanskrit called path. So it's the same.
And the capital of is called Budapest.
Budapest, yeah. One side is Buddha, and other side is Pest. So you might thinking that maybe Buddha means Lord Buddha, and Pest. I tell you the truth, I don't know what the meaning for.
But there was two separate towns.
Two separate towns.
Maharaj, we were discussing about Abraham and the Bible. Would you like to go on with that?
The story of Abraham and the race, the Jews, where they come from, is a mystery for many. But many scientists, and also as we investigate the history of Vedic civilization, we find, as we compare religion, the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedic teachings are very similar. The focus on God, the one God, and also behavior pattern also similar. Like in the Bible, you can find when certain individuals they met, they bowed down to each other out of respect, and they had some marks on their forehead. Which also in India, like I have this mark on my forehead, because this represents God. One side, Lord Brahma and Shiva, and the middle is Lord Vishnu. And the Shivites, they have 3 lines on their forehead. And other sects, they believe in the God in different expression, different color they put on the forehead. So it's very significant. Even the primitive tribes, they paint their face, the forehead, because they also have a significant. They try to represent cosmos, God. Of course, they may know it or not know it, but it is a human expression is within ourselves.
Yes.
So another aspect is how the whole human civilization at one stage was one, and in every scriptures it reveals that. Like in Mecca, you have the Kaaba, which is in the holy shrine. According to my experience and others, many people who are having experience with Shiva Lingas, they are Shiva Lingas, because Abraham used to worship those stones. At the time, was the Vedic civilization very prominent in those areas, and they were familiar with the concept of Lord Shiva and the worship of Shiva Lingas. So Abraham, one of the sons of Abraham, Isaac by name, was sleeping in the wilderness, and he used a stone as a pillow. And in the evening, out of the stone, a god appeared, come out of that, and it indicates to me when I was reading that was Lord Shiva, because it is Shiva Linga. Beside the point, other story, the story of Noé. It goes back to the whole story. If you look at compare it to the Srimad Bhagavatam of Matsya Avatar, the same story as when the earth was flooded, the deluge come, and how Noé built an ark, a ship, and invited all the animals onto the ship. So the same happened in other area, in other Vedic scriptures. They reveal when the Matsya Avatar came, the fisher incarnation of God. So the similar ideas are there. In every scriptures, bona fide scriptures, we find the presence of Vedic civilization is always there. We just cannot avoid it, because there. Of course, no. We live in a modern society, and the countries are pretty much divided, and the races, because they identify themselves with a certain race and country and tradition. But at the beginning of creation, there was one race, and that race of humanity. We were all evolved from God. God created us, and so we are all brothers and sisters. But because we have developed designation due to the bodily concept, therefore we forget our originality and forget about also God. Because nowadays more and more people became atheistic, turning away to believing in God, because God is there. We cannot avoid, we cannot ignore. God created this civilization, this earth, and we have to accept as an irrevocable fact that He exists.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for your time.